All right, in this video, we'll be looking specifically at the immune system, and we will be doing so for the next 5 or 6 or so videos. And the immune system is made up of two parts, the innate defenses and the adaptive defenses. Innate defenses are kind of like the first line of defense. This is something that you are born with. The adaptive defenses, these are attacks, or these are specific kinds of defenses that you have built up over time as you've come in contact with different sorts of pathogens. A pathogen is just any kind of disease causing agent. The immune system is a functional system rather than an organ system. So, what does that mean? That means that there's no organs associated necessarily with the immune system. It's kind of found all over the body, and it can release many different kinds of cells and chemicals to deal with pathogens or any sort of foreign substances found in the body. And it doesn't rely on an organ necessarily, but just the bloodstream to circulate those things. And so, a little bit more about the immune or the innate system before we move on, some specifics, and we're going to spend another video talking about it as well. But one of the places that you find the innate system most prominently, because it's kind of the first and second line of defense, is in the skin and the mucous membranes. For the skin, this is like literally is the surface of the body, and so it protects the body from foreign particles, and it just provides an actual physical barrier because those cells are so closely knit together. If you remember the different sorts of junctions that are located in those cells, the outer layer is just almost completely dead cells, and that keratin in that in those cells are just keratinized completely. The keratin is resistant to um, microbial growth. They're resistant to toxins released by bacteria and bacterial enzymes. And so that provides a first line of defense. The mucosal membrane or the mucous membranes can also form lines of defense. They produce, let's go to this next one here. They produce an acid layer, which is referred to as the acid mantle, uh, gives the skin some natural acidity and protects against bacteria. There are enzymes all over the place on the skin, depending on the type of membrane that you find. In the mouth, there's saliva. In the there's tear glands. In the respiratory tract, there's mucus. Um, this traps those microorganisms. In the stomach, there's stomach acid to deal with that. This protein here called mucin, which is a really sticky kind of mucus, and it traps microbes and allows them to be eaten by that next line of defense, which we'll talk about a little bit in this video and definitely in the next one. There are defensins here. Defensins is alpha and beta defensin. You don't need to know the alpha beta, just this defensin in general. These are proteins that inhibit microbial growth, and so they're out there dealing with those microbes as well. Other chemicals that are found in sweat and that are found in other secretions by the skin are dealing with the bacteria as well. So this kind of represents the first line of defense. Many things don't get in because of the skin. And then there's just physical barriers, like think of your nose. There's hairs inside the nose to trap particles as they go in. All up and down the respiratory tract, there are these tiny little hairs called cilia, and you can kind of see the cilia here on these tiny little hairs, and their job is to kind of sweep the respiratory tract of dust and microbes and send them up toward the mouth, where you just swallow them kind of without knowing, and then the stomach deals with them. And then if that first line of defense is broken, say you have an injury or a cut or something like that, then there is a second line of defense where you have these cells inside the skin that go around and they do nothing but just eat up microbes. And that we'll talk more about that specifically when we talk about the inflammatory response and some of those different things in the next video.